Joshua and the Battle of Jericho.
Long ago, there was a man named Joshua. He was faithful to the Lord and did all in his power to keep God's commandments. Because of this, the Lord was pleased with him. When Moses became old, he bestowed upon Joshua the leadership of the Israelites. Later, after Moses had died, God spoke to Joshua.
Arise and lead the children of Israel into the land which I have promised them. Take the people and cross over the river Jordan. No man will be able to stand against you. Be strong, have courage and faith, for as I was with Moses, so shall I be with you. I shall not fail you, nor forsake you.
Joshua gathered together the representatives of his people and spoke to them.
Remember the words of Moses, who promised that we may possess all the land of Canaan. The time has come for us to prepare to cross the river Jordan, so that we may conquer that land.
The people were happy to hear that they were at last going to enter into the rich, fertile land on the other side of the river. When they left, Joshua sent for two of his most trusted men.
Jericho will be the first city we attack. You are to enter the great walled city tonight. There you will study the men we'll be fighting and where their weaknesses lie.
The two men swam quietly across the river and crept up to the gates of Jericho. They silently slipped inside and quickly mingled with the people. When evening came, they went to the house of a woman named Rahab. They thought that no one knew of their mission, but someone had seen them, and at this very moment was telling the wicked king of Jericho that two spies were in the city. The king called for his soldiers.
You must destroy these men. They are spies from the mighty army of the Israelites, and I fear them. Their warriors are many, and they have a powerful God on their side.
Rahab's house sat high atop the walls that surrounded Jericho. The sound of many horses approaching below caused Rahab to peer out of her window.
The king's soldiers approach. Quickly, you must hide.
Rahab hid the two men while the soldiers climbed the long flight of stairs. When the soldiers finally reached her house, they pounded on her door. Rahab slowly opened it and came face to face with the captain of the guards.
What is it you wish?
The two men who are hiding inside have been spying upon our city. Bring them out, and be quick, woman. We haven't time to waste.
There were two men here earlier, but I do not know who they were. They left just as it was getting dark and headed for the gate. If you go quickly, you might overtake them.
Enough of your lies. You men, search your house.
The soldiers pushed Rahab aside and looked throughout the entire house, but they forgot to look on the roof, where the two men lay hidden from their sight. When the soldiers left, she climbed up to the men.
Come out. They are gone. The gates are locked, but I will see that you leave the city safely.
The men could not understand why she had hidden them.
You risked your life for us. Why?
I know that the God who fights for you is the only God, and you are here to do battle with our city. The army of our wicked king could never defeat you. They tremble with fear at the thought of fighting with God's army.
The men were greatly pleased with her words, but told Rahab that her good deeds would be wasted if they did not find a way to escape from the city.
I will get you out safely, but you must promise me that no harm will come to me or any of my family when the city is invaded.
You have saved our lives, and we will do the same for you. When the battle starts, tie a red cloth in your window. Gather all your family inside your house, and here they will be safe. You have our promise on this.
Rahab was relieved when they made these vows to her. She led them to a high window in her house, and from there hung a long rope down the outside wall of Jericho.
Climb down this rope and go into the mountains. They will not find you there. After 3 days, it will be safe for you to return to your people, across the river.
Soon after that, Rahab gathered her family together within the safety of her house, and there they waited for the Battle of Jericho to begin. The two spies hid in the mountains for 3 days, and then returned to their camp. When Joshua heard the news of their successful mission, he was very pleased.
I am glad you returned safely with this information. Go now, we have much to do to prepare for battle.
Early the next morning, Joshua led his people to the bank of the river Jordan. There they remained for 3 days, making preparations for battle. On the morning of the 4th day, Joshua told his people to walk down to the water. Leading the way were the priests bearing a sacred box called the Ark of the Covenant. Then Joshua commanded them to step into the river. As the priests obeyed his order, the water suddenly stopped flowing, and before them was dry land. The Israelites crossed to the other side and set up camp on the shore. When the king of Jericho heard of how the Israelites had crossed the river, he called for his advisors.
These soldiers of Israel frighten me. We must do something to stop them from attacking us.
My lord, there are those who say this city has been given to the Israelites by their God. But do not worry. They can never take this city unless they can crumble these walls, and to do so is impossible.
For many days, Joshua and his people worshiped the God who had brought them to the promised land. When the worship had ended, God spoke to Joshua.
You shall march around the city once each day for 6 days, with all your men of war. Before you shall go 7 priests blowing 7 trumpets made of ram's horns. Then on the 7th day, you will march around the city 7 times, wherein the priests will make a final long blast with their horns. When you hear this, you shall cry out with all your hearts, for on that day the city of Jericho will be yours.
Joshua called together his people. He told them of the battle plan given to him by God. Although it seemed strange to fight a battle by marching, they had faith in God's ways. And so they did as God had commanded. For 6 days, the army of Israel marched around the walls of Jericho, blowing on the ram's horns. But on Joshua's orders, they spoke not a single word. The king of Jericho sat helplessly on top of the wall and watched the Israelites.
What kind of warriors are these Israelites? They march around and around the walls, and I get dizzy watching them. Their priests blow on horns, and the soldiers say nothing.
In a sudden burst of anger, the king stood up.
Hear me, Israelites. Do you think you can frighten me with your strange ways of doing battle? Even your God cannot help you over these walls. They are too high. So I will sit here and humor you, while you waste your time.
On the morning of the 7th day, Joshua called his people together.
Today the city of Jericho will be ours. We must do exactly as the Lord has commanded us, and he will deliver it into our hands.
High above the Israelites, on the walls, the soldiers of Jericho waited for the attack to begin. When the army had circled the walls for the 7th time, Joshua ordered the priests to blow one great long blast on the trumpets. Joshua turned to face his troops.
Now shout with all your hearts, for the God of Israel has given us the city of Jericho this day. Shout, all children of Israel!
The Israelites began to shout, louder than they ever had before. Within the walls of Jericho there was terror. The mighty fortress began to shake and move. Cracks appeared in the walls, and large pieces of stone began to fall. Joshua turned to his army and commanded them to shout even louder. As they did, the walls before them began to tremble, and with a terrible roar, crashed to the ground. Joshua waved his army onward.
Now, armies of Israel, go into the city and fight for God, who has brought us victory.
The children of Israel swarmed through the large openings in the walls and destroyed the city of Jericho. When the fighting stopped, the house with the red cloth stood untouched atop a section of the walls that had not fallen. It was Rahab's house, and because of the kindness she had shown to the two spies, she and her family had been spared. They were brought before Joshua, who greeted Rahab with a warm embrace.
Rahab, we are grateful for what you have done. For all your days, you and your family are welcome to live with us and worship our God.
God had kept his word in helping Joshua capture the first stronghold in the new land. Joshua led the children of Israel to many more victories in battle. And in time, they were able to conquer the land that God had promised to them so many years before. And all this was done through the leadership and courage of the Lord's faithful servant, Joshua.